Hey guys, how's everyone doing? It's Ryan from Cardstock. Going to be doing the first edition of Fantasy Baseball 2018 today, and it's going to be talking specifically about our catchers and the importance they play, and also giving you the tiers of catchers that I think are going to be the best for Dynasty Baseball. In the comments below, please comment what you guys think of the list. If you think it's crazy, if you think someone's missing, or what you guys think you would do with your catcher position. So to start it off, we'll go to Tier 1. And here we have Gary Sanchez and Wilson Contreras. I think this is clearly the top two catchers in fantasy baseball right now. I would probably take Gary Sanchez first overall in terms of the long-term outlook, but I personally am a Wilson Contreras fan, so if I had to choose between both of them, I wouldn't want to do that. If you take a look at their numbers, Sanchez has the clear advantage in terms of numbers, specifically the power numbers. He's going to be in a really dangerous lineup with the Bronx Bombers, and I think that you're going to consistently see him putting up 30-plus home runs and close to 100 RBI and hitting north of 280 every year for the next 5 to 7 years at least. Wilson Contreras, I think, is a young guy who his power numbers last year over 20 homers, but right now he's projected at 19. I think he's probably going to get north of that. I think he's going to be somewhere in the 20 to 27 range, and probably in the 70 to 80 range for RBI, hitting for a decent average too. He's probably, in my opinion, going to get a little bit of time at first base this year as well, so he might be able to double dip in terms of his availability. Taking a look at Tier 2, this is where you guys might start thinking, hey, where's Evan Gattis? He's a big-time player here. I don't have him in this specific tier, strictly related for the dynasty purposes. I think Salvador Perez could be a guy that is right there with Wilson Contreras in terms of the second overall catcher that's selected. He's, again, projected 19 homers and 70 RBI, and the average very similar to Contreras. They're essentially identical players, but I just like Contreras' upside a little bit more. I don't think you'll go wrong picking Contreras or Perez if Gary Sanchez is already off the board. Going down a little further, Buster Posey, I have him slotted there at number 4 for a number of reasons. One, he's also eligible at first base in a lot of different formats. He's going to give you some decent numbers, and in terms of your overall team, he's going to give you great batting average, higher than all of the other guys that we're looking at here today. The next guy, number 5, I bumped him up in my ratings after the fire sale in Miami, TJ Realmuto. He's a guy who's going to give you a little bit of speed. He's projected to get over 10 steals, hitting the 280s, somewhere in the 14 homer range, 15 homer range. I think, in that lineup, he's going to be possibly getting a lot of good balls to hit. He's really the key cog in that piece. And if he does get traded to a contender, a team that might need a catcher like the Rockies, who are kind of dependent on Chris Iannetta right now, his fantasy value is going to be skyrocketing. So he's my 5th in terms of overall dynasty catcher rankings. Tier 3 is where it gets a little hazy for me. I got some guys with some upside like Jorge Alfaro and Chance Sisco, and I've got guys who are dependable and you know what you're going to get out of them in Wilson Ramos and Evan Gattis. I have Zunino at number 6 here simply because I think he's one of the bigger power guys. He's going to be getting 25-plus homers, probably have somewhere around 60 to 70 RBI. And I think the Seattle lineup is a lot better than it's given credit for, and I just think he's going to have better numbers than he's projected at right now. His batting average, though, is going to kill you if you're looking at a league where you need to have average, simply because he's a consistently 225 to 240 hitter, and he's probably going to give you about the same. Wilson Ramos, he's really dependable. Some of the other big names are off the board, Wilson Ramos is the guy you can plug in there, not worry about him in Tampa Bay. Going to get, somewhere between 15 and 20 homers, 60 RBI. He's going to give you a pretty decent average too in the 270s. So I like him a lot. And then the next two guys, Jorge Alfaro and Chance Sisco, these are more prospect type guys that I think have an opportunity to really make a name for themselves this year. I think Sisco is going to end up winning the catching battle out of spring training, and Alfaro is going to be pretty similar in terms of getting a lot of at-bats. Both of those guys, though, if you're looking for strict numbers, probably not the best right now. Basically in the 10 home run range. And part of that is possibly because they're not projected to, at least from ESPN, to win their catching battle position out of spring training. But I think those are guys to look at. If you can stockpile one of those guys and also add a dependable veteran like Wilson Ramos or Evan Gattis or someone from Tier 2, I think you're in great shape in terms of Dynasty for the catching position, and you can't really go wrong there. Taking a look at our sleeper potentials, this is where I think you can get really high value in terms of what's available and where you're taking these guys. These are guys where I don't think you're going to be taking them, anywhere in the top half or top third of the drafts. And part of that is just because I think there's a little bit more, sex appeal to those other picks in Tier 3, where they're younger guys, have potential for a big year. From this list here, I really like Austin Barnes. He's second base eligible in ESPN as well. Going to give you probably, I think, 15 homers and 50 RBI. He's going to bat somewhere in the 260 range and provide you with 10 plus steals. So I think he's a great prospect to have in terms of the catchers. Wellington Castillo is another guy that he could easily have been in that top 10 that I had. I took him out of there just because I wanted to have some of those guys with some upside in there a little bit more. He's starting for the Chicago White Sox right now. He's projected to get over 20 homers this year. So he's a source of power and one where you might get some good value from. And of course, we know about Yadier Molina, consistently going to be, giving you about 270, 275 average, 10 plus homers, one of the better backstops in the game all around, but you don't get a lot of benefit from their fielding categories unless you're doing something with errors. If that's the case, Yadier Molina is a top 10 catcher if you're going by errors and things of that nature, but typically a lot of leagues don't. The other one that I like on this list is Austin Hedges, excuse me. He's a guy who in San Diego with an improved lineup, I think he can get somewhere close to the 20 homer range, 70 plus RBI. He's going to be really hurting for you in terms of the batting average. I think for him to be a real player in the top 10, in terms of where we rank him, he's going to need to put the bat on the ball a lot more and not have such a high strikeout rate. And then just signing a one-year deal yesterday, or I think within the past week, was Jonathan LaCroix with the Oakland Athletics. He's a guy I think that you can take really deep in the draft, and he might be able to provide you some top 15 potential in terms of what he's able to provide: home runs, RBI, and average. One name on this list that I know you guys are wondering where he's at, and that is Francisco Mejia. I love Mejia. He is currently only DH eligible in ESPN, so he might have some other eligibility issues in other formats as well. So I didn't list him on here. But I think once he gets to the big leagues and starts getting some catcher eligibility, or if he regains that in the minor leagues, because he's definitely going to be starting off the year in AAA in Columbus. I think he's a top 5 catcher in the long run. If he gets a significant amount of playing time, he could be a top 15 producer this year at the position. And I would look for him to be in 2019 and 2020 in the top 7, top 5, and make a case to be in that top 3 listing with Gary Sanchez, Wilson Contreras, and maybe like a Salvador Perez. So that's my list. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Comment down below what you think, and if you have any comments on the overall catching position. Thanks.